It's a long way down to where the U.S. government stores its nuclear dirty laundry. We're going deep into ancient salt beds below a remote section of the New Mexico desert in a place called WIPP, the Waste Isolation Pilot Plant.
Okay, watch your step, please.
The trip doesn't end when the elevator stops. Next, we travel by electric cart through huge corridors and branching tunnels and a series of airlocks. The U.S. Department of Energy has been burying low-level nuclear waste down here for 11 years. Most of it consists of old gloves, tools, and equipment contaminated with plutonium as part of the nuclear weapons program. Some of it dates all the way back to the Manhattan Project that produced the atomic bombs dropped on Japan. I'm now more than 650 meters below the surface of the Earth in a huge chamber carved out of solid salt. And here, along the walls, are hundreds of containers, each one full of nuclear waste. They're meant to stay here forever. Once the waste is in place, the salt itself will gradually seal up the chambers.
And over a relatively short period of time, or at least geologic time, for it to close in, creep in, and encapsulate and entomb the waste basically for perpetuity.
Such precautions are necessary because even microscopic amounts of plutonium, if ingested, are deadly.
One of the characteristics of it is it has an extremely long half-life. Plutonium-239, for example, has a half-life of about 24,000 years.
So that means it'll be dangerous for 24,000 years.
It will emit radiation for 24,000 years.
WIPP is the only project of its kind in the U.S. which has not yet chosen how to dispose of much larger quantities of high-level nuclear waste, like spent fuel from reactors. Now, some New Mexico politicians want to expand the project and are urging the government to ship all of its waste here. Some New Mexicans are alarmed at the prospect. They point to the active oil and gas fields right next to the site. The industry often uses high-pressure fluid injection to force the oil and gas to the surface. Water flowing through the rock formations could melt the salt and bring the nuclear waste up into the environment. Environmentalist Don Hancock has been monitoring WIPP for decades.
The idea of putting nuclear waste in oil and gas fields is one that most people would say, oh, that's a non-starter.
While many people in the towns nearby welcome the jobs WIPP provides, some, like resident Betty Richards, don't trust the government's assurances that everything is perfectly safe.
It's Swiss cheese out there, and so the chances for water to flow it's more freely now than ever. I just see that it's just a death, slow death, leaking into our river.
U.S. President Barack Obama has appointed a panel of experts to recommend a dumping spot for spent reactor fuel, and the New Mexico salt beds are likely to be one of the options. The commission will make its report about a year from now. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Carlsbad, New Mexico.